Hi everyone, I'm here to talk a little bit more about the nature of time, that time doesn't exist, and how we experience past lives and the Akashic Records. I already have an entire video series on that, but there's something that popped into my mind that I may not have really elaborated on in the series. So as you can see, I'm sitting here in nature. There's different flowers here around me, and yesterday I was on the bus and I noticed we were driving past some place that had a few different types of flowers. All these different types of flowers are all next to each other, and the words cross-pollination popped into my head. And in my video series on the Akashic Records, which I recommend you all go watch if you have not yet, it's on YouTube, 33 videos all about the Akashic Records, the nature of time, how we experience time, how you can work with these soul aspects, these other incarnations. So in this video series I talk about my flower meadow theory and the walkie-talkie theory. So what that is that you are in a flower meadow and you are smelling all of these flowers that are growing there, but you only have one nose, so you go and smell them one flower at a time. You go smell one, then you go smell the next one, and you go smell the next one. So you're experiencing them in a linear way, but they are all existing at the same time. They are all growing at the same time. They are blooming at the same time, and they're all standing there together in this meadow that is your soul. That is the multidimensionality of your soul. So this one flower, for instance, is named Middle Ages, and the other flower a little bit up ahead is called Renaissance, and then there's a flower called Stone Age, and there may be one that is the year 3526. That's in the future. But what is going to determine what is future and what is past is your experience of it and the frequency of these flowers, for instance, so that we can measure it in a linear way. Because we're going to experience them one by one, because you're going to go and walk up to these flowers one by one and smell them one by one, basically. And that is how we experience past lives, other incarnations of the soul. So what also happens that I do talk about, but that I never really connected to this flower analogy, is that there can be cross-pollination. And that is something that I do bring up, but I never really linked it to this flower theory, but I'm gonna do that from now on. What can happen is that an experience that flower A has can have an effect on flower B and flower C, and they are all in communication with each other, like how I explained that all these soul aspects have their walkie-talkies, and when the higher self is like the main boss of all these different figures that have walkie-talkies, and they all have to brief the higher self. So they're having an experience, for instance, figure Middle Ages with his walkie-talkie has an experience, he has to brief the higher self, and it gets like everyone gets briefed on the experience with this system of the walkie-talkies. So when you look at these flowers, if there's one flower that perhaps gets damaged by the sun and starts to like have dark spots on its leaves or on its petals or something, it's going to develop trauma. So maybe all of a sudden these other flowers that have nothing to do, that were not even in the sun, maybe they could start developing this type of stuff. I don't know, this may not be a good example, but I know that there are certain plants, certain trees that will communicate with each other like that, and they are starting to develop certain behaviors that are not connected to its very being, but that are connected to surrounding flowers or surrounding plants or trees. And that is very much the same with your other incarnations. You may develop behaviors, habits, programming that is running in your subconscious mind that you don't know where it's coming from. That has nothing to do with your experience as the person that you are right now. But when you go look at the bigger picture, you transcend the 3D, you look at the multidimensionality of your soul, then you will see how it is connected to another experience that your soul is having, that you are having this experience in another incarnation where you got damaged, where something happened, and now your soul is simply preparing you for what if it happens again. But maybe there is no such contract for this to happen again. In fact, in this incarnation specifically, we are canceling a lot of contracts. We are ending a lot of contracts where a lot of the traumatic stuff has happened. So it's important for us to get this briefing from the higher self that is saying you can let go of this stuff now, because we don't need to be carrying all this stuff around, because you're not gonna get sun damaged or whatever. You're not gonna get traumatized, so that you can just bloom in this lifetime, so you can be this beautiful flower, this perfect flower that is not going, you don't have to carry all the stuff from the other flowers with you, because you are in an area in the meadow that is very beneficial, that is full of nutrients, that has a high frequency. You are in a timeline where you are meant to flourish. So this is something that I do look at with the Akashic Records. When I do Akashic Records readings, I don't talk about past lives. I talk about your soul having multiple experiences all simultaneously. I look at where they are located, where some of this trauma accumulates in your chakra system, what incarnations they are connected to, so that you can simply know. By knowing where it comes from, you can often solve these things by simply knowing. All of a sudden, imagine you are this little flower and you see, oh, you're the one that has the sun damage over there. Now I see, oh, I am not in that same area, Middle Ages. I am not in a war zone. I am here. I am not going to get whatever it is that traumatized that flower, you see? Witch trials, wars, whatever, battle. Oh, I'm not gonna be in that anymore, because I live in a society where I can be myself, and you may still get triggered by some of these things, but you are meant to overwrite all of that in this lifetime. So if you want to learn more about the Akashic Records, go look at my video series. It's 33 videos. They are on Instagram, they are on YouTube in a playlist, so that is actually a little easier to look at all of them. If you want to understand more about how I view time, I also give advice on how to access your own Akashic Records, some easy advice on how to connect in meditation, just to understand how the Akashic Records work. And if you want to dive deeper, I do readings. They are bundles that come with digital images, so that your third eye gets triggered, so that you can remember and start to see for yourself. And they come with music. I also make handmade portraits. Just go and have a look on my website or message me if you would like more information. And I hope that this was valuable. I find that it is really valuable to offer people metaphors that are easy to understand, so that you can see that time is not as linear as we think it is. It is way more fluid. Okay, because I can keep on rambling. So that is it for today, and I will be back soon with more videos. Bye bye.